Huh? Hello, Conseiller Denis. Yvonne, hi.
Bonjour. Long time no see.
I know. Oh, I forgot my mask. I'm just gonna put my hands in front of me.
Ah,
Assis,
We're
on peut.
live.
Oh,
Ouch.
We're live, Fern.
that means don't say anything bad. Mr. Chair,
no.
if the meeting is not completed by 10 to 7, I will have to provide my regrets and leave.
That's
Because I
fine.
have another meeting at 7 o'clock.
We should be
It's
done.
fine, Joanne. Hopefully we're done.
Okay. Your sound is not that high.
Mine?
Ben,
Ouais.
non, on t'entend, mais pas aussi clairement qu'on pourrait t'entendre.
Là, tu m'entends-tu?
Oui, on t'entend. Ou soit que tu parles pas assez fort.
Tu es après me faire chicaner, là.
Non,
Je
non.
sais pas. Non, quand je monte mon volume, c'est toi qui sonne fort. On m'a avancé d'abord.
Ah non, c'est correct. On
Ah
a...
ben, on va avoir de craqueur.
Ah! Oups! Ah, non, c'était nous autres. C'était notre volume.
Ah, ben là. Pas chicaner, là. Non, quand je monte mon volume, c'est toi qui sonne fort. On va avancer d'abord.
Ah non, c'est correct.
Ah ben, on va avoir de craqueur. Ah.
On juste manque Norm, il est ici. Et juste organiser son ordinateur.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Hey, Paul. There's Norm. T'es-tu connecté, Norm? Non. Non. Tu es connecté, Norm?
Oui, là, je pense que je suis correct. Là.
C'est bon, là?
Ouais. Excuse, je me pris un peu de temps à me connecter. Là.
Ah ben, Werner.
Toi, t'en faire, Bernard, toi.
J'ai rien dit, rien que du Werner. Anyways, okay, I'll bring the meeting to order. Is there any declarations of pecuniary interest? None? I need a motion to approve the agenda of November 15th. Yvonne and Norm. You good, Melanie? Are you good, Melanie?
I am. Hang on just a
Okay,
second.
so
Penny's been.
yeah, Norm and Yvonne.
We're getting feedback on the recording.
Excuse. J'ai oublié de discuter le live stream, mais j'ai deux réunions en même temps.
Ah,
Il y a un petit delay avec le live stream.
well,
Okay, I'm sorry. Did I miss the mover and seconder?
yeah, Yvonne and Norm.
Pardon me. It's moved by Yvonne Zuhaim and second by Norman Roberge. Be it resolved that the agenda for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting on November the 15th, 2021 be approved as amended,
Is there an amendment to that?
Hmm?
Is there an amendment to
No,
those
I
minutes?
think she
No?
just
Okay,
typed it wrong as presented.
okay, thank you. All in favor, I guess, carried. Adoption of minutes meeting of October 18th, need a mover and a seconder. Law and Fern,
It is moved by Yvonne Zuhaim and seconded by Fern Pellerin. Be it resolved that the minutes of the West Nipissing Planning Advisory Committee meeting held on October the 18th, 2021 be adopted as presented.
you have a question, Nora?
Yes, Mr. Chair, like this afternoon, I got, just before the meeting, I got an amended version, and what is the amendment?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I had forgotten to put in the vote that we held on the camping trailer consultations in the original version. And I had neglected to advise my staff to put it in, so it was not her fault. So I asked her to amend the minutes to include that resolution that we held at the previous meeting. So now it's correct.
So we should we adopt the minutes as amended, or?
Probably because they were not right in your agenda.
Right. So you'll add that
I'll
phrase.
do them as amended.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor? Against, carried. Okay, now we'll move along to the first item. It's a zoning bylaw, 2021-14. Or do I need I need a mover and a seconder. Norm and Joanne.
It is moved by Norman Roberge and seconded by Joanne Savage. Whereas a public meeting was held for the purpose of amending zoning bylaw 2014-45 for property located at 12051A Highway 17 in Sturgeon Falls. And whereas no written concerns or objections were received, be it resolved that the West Nipissing Planning Advisory Committee recommends or does not recommend that council for the West Nipissing Municipality adopt the proposed zoning bylaw to rezone the property at 12051A Highway 17 from rural to C2 Highway Commercial. And Schedule SF6 of bylaw 2014-45 shall be amended by changing the zoning designation of the property shown in Schedule A, described as part of Lot 2, Concession 1 in the Township of Springer. Through you, Mr. Chair, as indicated in my report, this property was previously the location of the borough's auction house. For those who were here and remember that that's what that was. I couldn't say exactly when the buildings were demolished, but when the bylaw was amended in 2014, the buildings were no longer there. And thus the property was designated in our new zoning bylaw as rural because it had no commercial uses on it. The intent of this application is to rezone the south and west corner of the property to commercial, which was essentially what it was in the past. And I don't know if you have anything to add, Mr. Goodrich?
No, there was a potential developer of this lot a couple of years back. So I'm not sure if they're back and interested again, but I know Mike Page thought that he would have a far better opportunity to market it and be able to attract a new business to Sturgeon Falls if the zone category was already consistent with what shows in the official plan. So, and that is the official plan designation does support this. So we're here tonight to ask for your approval or recommendation for approval, and we'll follow it up with the severance consent at the Committee of Adjustment.
Thank you, Mr. Goodrich. Any comments or questions on this rezoning? No questions, no comments. Okay, so is everybody in favor of the rezoning? Yes, carried.
Thank you.
Go to the second item on the agenda. Madam Clerk, I need a mover and a seconder. Yvonne and Dan.
It is moved by Yvonne Tehang and seconded by Dan Revita. Whereas a public meeting was held for the purpose of amending zoning bylaw 2014-45 for the property located on a vacant property located in Domina Crescent in Sturgeon Falls. And whereas no written concerns or objections were received, be it therefore resolved that the West Nipissing Planning Advisory Committee recommends or does not recommend the Council for the West Nipissing Municipality adopt the proposed zoning bylaw to rezone the property on Domina Crescent from residential 1 zone to residential 2 zone, and to recognize the existing legal non-complying lot frontage of 6 meters. And Schedule SF2 of bylaw 2014-45 shall be amended by changing the zoning designation of the property, which property described as part of Lot 4 Concession 1, Part 5 on Plan 36R13041 in Township of Springer from residential 1 to residential 2. Through you, Mr. Chair, for those who've been on planning for a while, will remember that this was a severance application back in, I'm going to venture a guess, 2012, 13. I think it was in my report, but I don't have it in front of me right now. And the property was previously owned by, it still is actually owned by Charles Beaupelin. And the intent at that time, because he's got the property at the end of the crescent, so he severed, I believe, 2 lots, one on the west and one on the east of his existing house, to which he actually sold them both to the same individual. This individual is now looking to build a duplex on the duplex dwelling on the lot, the vacant lot. He did build a single family dwelling on the 1 lot and now wishes to build a duplex on the 2nd lot to the south of the existing Beaupelin residence. At the time of the original severance in 2000, and I can't remember, there was a minor variance granted as well because of the fact that the property is on a crescent and the lot frontage, they don't have the sufficient lot frontage. They've only got about 20 feet of lot frontage. But that was granted, and the purpose of this application is, if approved, to also recognize that existing legal non-conforming lot frontage that was sanctioned by the minor variance in the first place. So that's essentially the purpose and effect of this application. There was no comments or concerns received.
So it abides by all our official plan and everything.
Yeah, it is consistent with the West Nipissing official plan and zoning bylaw.
Any comments or questions? None. Everybody in favor of this item? Carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I think the next one is Norm, if you don't mind, I'll
Me?
give you the chair for the camping thing.
Oh.
Is that okay? Or,
I didn't expect that. Okay.
well, no, I can do it, but you're going to be doing it. So
I'm mostly going to talk anyways.
Yeah,
Pardon me?
so you keep the chair, I think, and if I
Okay.
can help you, I'll try and, because I think Melanie will be the one doing most of the talking anyway.
well, I'm not sure.
You're not sure about that?
Okay, so Melanie, what do you need?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to just remind everybody that the consultations begin next Monday night. The ad has been on the web for about 2 weeks now, and we've received a lot of comments, quite a bit of feedback. And I am expecting a decent turnout at the meetings. The website has been adjusted to note that, all normal COVID protocols will be in effect. Requiring vaccine proof and masking will be in effect. I will have a staff, an additional staff with me to assist in, expediting getting people in and check through so that we can try to make it as painless as possible. The first meeting is in River Valley on Monday night, followed by Burner on Tuesday. And I don't know what to do with my list, but it's here somewhere. There's 3 next week, and the following week 2, and then the Zoom meeting on the final Wednesday evening. So the basically, doors will open ahead of time and everybody will be there. What I'm looking for from you is the written submissions that I've received. Would you prefer that we, once we've done all the public consultations and listened to what everybody has to say, that we package the oral presentations and the written presentations for discussion and deliberation by this committee? Would you prefer to have the written ones ahead of time? I'm just looking for direction on how you want to proceed. I know we're not going to deliberate this probably till early January, but I just want to know how much information you want ahead of time, or do you want to hold on it all?
Okay, thank you. Norm?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Me personally, I would prefer to have the written one ahead of time, so we have time to read it. So once we do get our meeting to start preparing the report, I think we will be further ahead and already made us comfortable and knowledgeable on that version. And since most of us would have attended either all or part of the verbal one, then that we'll have that knowledge too. So I think to get it ahead of whether it's a week or 2 weeks before the scheduled meeting where we'll discuss the report, I would appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Norm. Any other comments, questions? Well,
I'm just looking for setup. I'm trying to get a feel for how many. I believe that the mayor has gotten back to me on the dates that she intends to be present. I'm just looking for a bit of feedback because I want to set up the room such that the committee is sitting at the front to hear people, and I just need to know how many chairs. Do you want me to set 7 up? I know, Mr. Senecal, you've indicated you won't be there, but I'm looking for feedback from the others.
okay. Councillor Dan, you're going to comment? Or Dan?
You can put a chair for me. I'll be there. Thank you.
Then all.
Yvonne?
I'll be at every one, Mel.
Okay,
Yeah, you can put a chair for me, Mel.
great, thanks.
Aaron?
Yeah, I should too, yeah.
So everybody except for the chair will be at all of the meetings, and so I'll set it up such that you're at the front, and we'll start the meeting with the usual, sort of similar to the way we did the last one, where we'll allay everybody's fears as to what this isn't about, because I've had a lot of calls from people who were concerned that maybe they weren't going to be able to park their skidoo in their driveway, or their boat was, or the whatever. So I just want to allay as many fears as possible, sort of what this isn't about, before we actually get into what this is about, so that we can, put some concerns to rest right out of the blocks. But like I said, I will package up the written responses before the end of the week and provide all of you a copy. What I'll do is I'll scan them all and put them into a PDF. You can review them at your pleasure. And if I get more as we go along, then I'll certainly include those as well. So that's
Joanne, sorry, Melanie. Joanne, do you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to, I was going to say there's, people are not doing the interpretation of what they read according to the content of what it means. And I've heard, and I received a lot of calls pertaining to the subject matter that you said, boats, skidoos, and so on. And also the biggest fear is people think that they're no longer going to be allowed to park a camper in their yard. And if they do have one, that they're going to have to pay for it. So I'm just trying to, maybe if you can explain to us at that session, how is the info going to be conveyed to the people to ensure that they understand every point, so they don't come in and start where we have to try to defuse people because they're going to be so upset. So I think it's the education portion, and I'm just trying to understand the process of how it's going to unfold.
Through you, Mr. Chair, well, as I I read initially what my intent was to begin the meeting, once introductions were made of the members who were present, is to give a summary of how we got here, the consultations that have already taken place, where we are, and, you know, where the committee is trying to go with this bylaw. But, you know, again, tell them it does not, you know, if you own a camper, it does not affect your ability to go. So I said, I have a whole list of, because I've got a ton of calls, and I know, just like you said, of what people are frightened of. So I've made a list of all the things that I want to reinforce as not part of this
Okay.
consultation. And yes, you're right. It's tough to read those bylaws. The language is not always simple. So what I'll try and do is go through each point kind of in a brief way to say, well, this means that, and then, you know,
Okay.
summarize it so that it's a little more clear for people. Because I do recognize that, you know, the language that we have to use to meet legislation is a little fuzzy.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I think people are going to appreciate that. And once they at least have an understanding of it, at least it's going to hopefully, you know, because people are coming in with a certain thought, and just by knowing and understanding it, it'll answer their concerns,
Any of
or
the
at
calls
least
that I've-
concerns of some people.
any of the calls that I've taken, I've said, you know, and please tell your friends, you know.
Mhm. So if I may, just on a final note, Mr. Chair, so
Sure.
the issue about the vaccine passport, that's on our website, right? So
Yes.
people will know that to attend those meetings in person, you need to be double vaccinated and proof is going to be
And
verified.
our communication staff are going to push it towards the end of the week, really push it on social media, reminders, just so that, you know, people, there will, you know, I do anticipate, you know, I know some people forget or don't read and may show up unprepared, and, you know, unfortunately, our staff will not be able to, we have to adhere to the law. But, you know, there'll be, my staff will be instructed as to, you know, you may watch this on, you know, you may watch the Zoom meeting, you may participate in the Zoom meeting, or you may submit in writing. So my staff have got a list
Okay.
of how to calm people down if they show up unprepared.
Okay, thank you.
Norm?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Yeah, on that COVID issue, I know some establishment have been through, like I'm double vaccinated and everything. But if you've forgotten your mask or something, sometimes they have a
Have a
box.
box of masks,
Also, you will have one in case somebody, because I
masks,
know.
hand sanitizer, you know, all
So
the,
we'll have that, so that they have no reason, if they can prove their vaccination, even if they forgot their mask, we'll provide them.
and just a note, the vaccination policy also applies to committee members. I don't know, I'm making the assumption everyone is, but I do have to obtain that information. You will have to provide the same as anybody else when you arrive.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Perfect. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of that. I think that's, is there anything else on that?
You good? That's
Uh,
it? Fern?
Mel, just for you said you'd have like a little report ready for from what you got by email and all this. Can you have a hard copy?
I'll print you one.
Okay, I'll drop by next Friday.
Okay. This Friday.
Yeah, oh yeah, right.
I also want hard copies too, Mel, please.
Okay. My desk looks like a bomb went off. Okay, I think that covers that.
All done?
Yeah.
The next item, I guess, is accessory buildings or
Yeah, that's
structures?
just a quick update. I'm just finalizing the notification. Hopefully, we'll be able to consider those changes to the comprehensive zoning bylaw at the meeting of at our December meeting. I've tentatively, and please don't shoot me, stated that we're gonna have a meeting on the 13th of December. I didn't think anybody wanted to meet with me on the 20th. It seemed kind of mean. Besides I'm on holidays, but the 13th is the date I'm using for the changes to the comprehensive. I'm not anticipating, most of the changes that we're looking at are housekeeping issues anyways. So I'm not really anticipating it to be too contentious. I think there'll be lots of people who will be really happy, in fact. But just, I'm just letting you know that that's the date that I'm looking at for planning advisory to look at those changes as well.
Good.
And the
Any
action.
questions on that? Or- oops, sorry. Any questions or comments on that? No?
You guys are too fast for me tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So you see, Mr. Chair, you did a good job there.
There was supposed to be a subdivision on tonight's meeting, but unfortunately I didn't get all the information that I needed, so I set aside an hour and a half, but then didn't need it, so it's hard when you send the notices out 2-3 weeks ahead of time and you're trying to guess.
That's okay.
But what we can do is, what we'll do is, I suppose if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn this one and reconvene in about an hour.
Okay.
You can use the same, if you leave, you can use the same link to come back in.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Or can, in the event for committee of adjustment, I can just block it, but stay on and not have to.
Yeah, just turn
Okay.
off the sound, and I'm going to suspend the recording so I don't waste a lot of airtime. I'm also going to log off of YouTube, but I'll log back on before 7:30.
Okay.
Need a motion to adjourn?
We do indeed. Mover in a second.
Joanne? And Fern.
It is moved by Joanne Savage and seconded by Fern Paladin. Be it resolved that the West Nipissing Planning Advisory Committee meeting of November the 15th, 2021 be adjourned to December 13th, 2021.
All in favor? Carried. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
In a bit.
Um,